Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, 1 second. Let me. Here it is. Yeah. All right, we can start. So, hello everyone. My name is Mihir Shah, and today I'm going to talk about Power BI with Dynamics 365 and also Power Apps for portals. And this is part of the Power Platform user group Iceland. So thank you, Inar, for inviting me to speak on this topic. And this will be more interactive. So if you want to ask any questions or you want to know more anything about the topic that I'm talking about, let me know. I can, while I'm presenting itself, I can answer questions. So Inar, if you can just let me know if there are any questions of any or anybody can go off mute and start asking in between also. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Well, I will monitor the chat as well. So
Okay, thank you. All right, so a little bit about me. I have 20 plus years of experience in business applications. Most of the last 10, 15 years has been on Dynamics 365. Obviously, last 3, 4 years on Power Platform. I'm working with IBM. I'm also a volunteer speaker. So, like Inar, I also help organizing events for the Dynamics 365 community. And I'm part of the organizing committee for the New York City Microsoft Business Apps Meetup. Uh, my hobbies are to visit national parks with family and friends. So there are around 65 national parks in US, Canada. So my plan is to visit as many as I can. I've probably done around 12 or 13 of them. My blog is 365 without code.blogspot.com and Twitter handle is Mihir CRM. Okay, so this is the agenda I'm planning to cover today. I can initially will be about the quick reports, the new functionality which is in Dynamics 365 and Power BI. Then how to connect to Power BI from Power BI desktop to Dynamics 365 and some of the template apps that Microsoft has provided and how to make use of them. And then once you publish to the Power BI service, how to embed the dashboard that you have published into Dynamics 365 and also in the Power Apps portals. I'll talk a little bit about security. And then another new topic, which is really very relevant now, is the Azure Synapse with Dynamics 365. So hopefully this is a good overview for you, and I'll go forward for this. So why should we consider Power BI with Dynamics 365? So Microsoft has in the Microsoft Business application, there are like around 17 different apps which are part of Dynamics 365 that Microsoft is providing. It's growing. This whole universe of apps in Dynamics 365 is growing, and the goal of this is to be able to collect, store, and be able to make use of the data these apps collect and get intelligence out of it. And the visualization of the intelligence is through Dynamics 365 and Power BI. So the Power BI is your visualization uh, default application that you will use to visualize data in Dynamics 365 into using data and intelligence into Power BI. So that's the main reason I would use Power BI is to make sure that I get all my visualizations in place. Another good information, this is very informative, I found was that what are the different things and what we can do or cannot do uh, with Power BI, right? So we have the Dynamics 365, which is part of the Power Apps, and then we also have the FNO Dynamics 365 FNO apps, right? So in Dynamics 365 Power Apps or model-driven apps, you can use Power BI report in the system dashboard and also the Power BI dashboard in the Dynamics 365 system dashboard. So this I will show a demo of. You can also create personal dashboards in Dynamics 365, right? So this, but it will only be able to showcase Power BI dashboard here or Power BI tiles. Within main forms also of model-driven apps and Power Apps also, even model-driven apps is part of Power Apps. You can show Power BI report tiles, and then in views, what is the new functionality is you can do a Power BI quick create, and you can have it in the Power BI tile can be added to a Canvas app. And another thing I'll demo is within the portal how to show this Power BI report or dashboard or tile. So I'll pick some of this and show you some of the demos in this. Now, from a Dynamics 365 FNO space, the possibilities are less, but it comes with its own Power BI reports built into FNO. So then, you can actually use those to go from there. Okay, and this is a link for this information right here. So for this demo, I did create a demo environment. So I set up a Dynamics 365 trial license using trials.dynamics.com. If you just follow this steps, you'll be able to create a demo environment and do everything that I did for this demo. You can. So next thing is I created the Dataverse environment. Right, once you have the trial license, it's a 30-day trial, so you can actually extend it also if needed. Get a Power BI license. I got the 60-day free Power BI Pro license for the trial, and then I also got set up a Power App portal. So if you want to work with and see how Power BI can be embedded into a Power Apps portal, you can set up a portal app. You can set up a customer service app for partner app or employee portal, and go from there. Okay, so this setup may take maybe less than half a day or maybe a day to make sure all this is in place. So then you can start practicing with this. All right, so the first one I want to quick talk about is Power BI Quick Report, Visuals and Dynamics 365 Preview. Right, this is a preview feature, so it's already out there, but you can you'll find it right there. So to enable this, you will need to have this option in the Power BI Quick Report visual on a table. So you need to enable this Power BI Quick Report visualization on a table preview feature. So you will go into make.powerapps.com, select the app that you want to show the Power BI Quick Report functionality, and edit in preview, settings, features, right, and enable this one. So I will quickly show you where it is. Okay, let me go here. Make.powerapps.com. So, for example, if you want to go to the customer service hub app or any of the apps that you have, I mean, this is the default apps that come with this. The only thing I added to it was the employee portal to it. So otherwise, you will get all this functionality right in here. Click on edit in preview. So to go to the drop down and click on the edit in preview functionality, go to the settings, features, and then in the features you will see enable Power BI quick report visualization on a table. So to just set this to yes. So that will allow you to basically go into Dynamics 365. So this is my customer service hub. So if I can go to cases, so I can see my view, and from within the view, I will see a new button here called visualize this view. So any view I have, I can select all active cases to, and then I can click on visualize this view. And what this does is Power BI automatically generates a visual for you just based on the data that you have just set the view that you have in there, and based on that it will automatically create for a visual for you. Now this is great just to get a feel of how Power BI works and what kind of visuals are possible, and there are a lot of other enhancements that you can do, but then there are also certain limitations. So there is not I think this is a great thing to get a feel of Power BI within Dynamics 365, and then you can actually select multiple other fields in here and also add some filters, all that. But let's look at, and if you look at the data table, it will also show you the data table also. What is the table data table that's based on the view that it is creating, right? So this is the data table here. But there are some limitations, right? So this is what I showed you, Power BI quick report. This is all leads I showed you on the case, and this is on the opportunities. So this is created from the view. So let's talk a little bit about what that functionality is. It's not remove, or you can also customize the view. So what you want to see, you can add or remove columns, filter view to get to the correct insight, and visuals can be personalized. So every user can set their own visuals, but it's not persistent, right? So it's not going to stay there forever for anybody to, every time they have to go and click on it, and that's when the visual is created. The visual that you create or customize cannot be saved or shared. And some of the column display names are still showing the field names, does not show the column display names. So that's the kind of initial limitation, but it's a preview feature. Things can change. uh, Microsoft may allow you to save it in the future, and it will become more usable. So that's my view on that new feature that has come out. So that's the Power BI. So quickly let me show you. Okay, let me go to the next topic. We
It's
did the
also worth
demo on this.
noting, sorry, uh, with
Yeah.
those preview features,
Mm-hmm.
uh, they, yeah, they are preview. They might disappear altogether.
Yeah, yeah, it has happened many times.
Yeah.
So
So just be
yeah,
aware. Don't use this in production, and don't promise this to your clients.
correct,
Just
correct. Yeah.
talk about this in the context of a preview feature.
Yes, exactly. But I like it. I like the way and ease of use, right? So I don't have to do the whole, I don't have to think about it. It just creates its own visualizations and shows me some graphs and all that. So it's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Yeah. And historically, those very useful preview features, they tend to end up in the final version. So
Yes, they do. And they do. Most of it do, and some do get changed or some get dropped completely.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. So that second topic I want to cover, and if I'm going a little bit fast, let me know. But I want to make sure I cover as many topics as possible. So this one is about connecting from Power BI desktop, connecting to Dynamics 365. So a couple of things about Power BI desktop. So let me show you the Power BI desktop. So I have my Power BI desktop right here on my computer, and what you would do is install the latest version of Power BI desktop. So Power BI desktop is a free tool that allows you to connect to various data sources, and then be able to do what I would call massaging of the data, like select the fields that you want to bring in, or do some calculations. So that's done using Power Query. And then once the data is in, then you can do the relationship. So, for example, in this demo, I have brought in these tables, which are the account table, contact, incident or case, lead, and opportunity table. So I got this data, and I'm able to see the data in the format of tables and columns. I can also see the relationship, and I can create new relationship. So this is the place that I will go for relationship modeling uh, of the data. And also I can do the visuals. I can do the visuals in here, and I can add multiple visuals, which some of the visuals are here. I can filter them, and I can choose what fields I need to go on the filter visuals. So first, obviously the first step would be to get data. So once you have the Power BI desktop, you want to make a connection. So if you go to more, and you want to connect to Power BI, from Power BI desktop to your Power Platform Dataverse. So there are multiple options or ways you can connect to your Dynamics 365 Power Apps Dataverse. So you can just use this, which is the connect to Dataverse through its SQL endpoint, or you can do your legacy connection. So I will show you some of the differences between this two. I will talk about it. I have a slide for this. And then once you click on connect, it will take you to the login page. I already have the connections in here, so it's directly connecting. So if I was using some other new connection, it will take me to the login page, put in my credentials in there, and once I have the credentials, it will obviously ask me how you want to connect. Do you want to use direct query, or you want to do the data import? So most of the time, you may want to do the data import, and it what it does is connects to Dataverse, looks at the tables and columns that you want to connect to, and imports that data. So this is data import I selected, and then I'm now, let's say if I want to import data, which is the account table. So it will give me a preview of what the data is in the account table, and then I can click on the transform data. So if I click on load data, it will pick up all the columns, right? You don't want all the columns to bring in. So you want to do some selection and be very selective of what data you want into Power BI desktop and eventually on the Power BI service, right? So I would click on transform data, and transform data will open for me so here it is, the import and direct queries. I'm going to click on import.
It's
And
also worth noting that in this navigator, that's there you will see all the Power Platform or Dataverse environments that you have access to in the tenant.
correct,
So,
yes. So
so
I
it's yeah. So basically, its connection
Mhm.
is per tenant.
Yep, yep. So you see, I already had connected to the account earlier. So this is the second kind
Yeah.
of time I'm bringing the account data. But then you can go into manage rows and choose columns and select which columns you want to bring in or connect to. And then it will give you the list of columns, and you can choose, I don't want to bring all my columns. So I want this. Maybe I want the account rating or industry code, and based on that you can choose the columns that you want to bring in. So I will not bring in the account table again, but I want to focus this more on the basics of getting the data into from Dynamics 365 into Power BI. So what I would recommend is to make sure that you use this Power Query editor as much as possible to get only the columns that you need, and the data that you need into Power BI desktop, because there is a size limitations, right? So that import query, the size limitation, I believe, is like 1 gigabyte for a free account. Right now, if you have a license account and if you have other options in there, uh, so you then the size limitations may not be important, but for the demo, at least, I want to make sure that I bring in only what I need in here. Okay, so I'm just going to cancel this.
And also, this is basically the same view and the same editor you get in Dataverse, where you go and design data flows in there. So it's a unified experience.
Yep, yep. All right, so once I have the data, I create my relationship. I basically say, okay, this account ID of contact is linked to this account table, so I can link those two. I also link the opportunity to account. I'm not using the lead for now. For this demo, I'm just using account, opportunity, and contact. And then I created all the visuals. So then I can go in and say, okay, I want opportunity by account. So I did a pie chart here by just selecting a pie chart or a donut chart, uh, and then adding what I need. I basically, you can see what are the columns I picked and checked here, and I put it onto the visual, so I can then do all this. You can also do a little bit of cleaning up by selecting whether you want the legends on, you want the detail on the labels on, you can do slices, you can do filtering, all of this you can do right from here. So you will see I can click on this and it auto filters other visuals automatically. I can click out of this and it's going back to the regular size. So that is basically a very brief intro. There's a lot of things that you can do within Power BI desktop, but this focus is on how to show this in Dynamics 365, right? So our goal is to create a report in Power BI desktop and then publish it. So next thing, once you have a report done of, and you can add multiple pages to the report, right? So because you want to have as much visuals created before you publish it to Power BI service. So then when I click on publish, it will publish it to the Power BI service. I already have it published. Uh, let's say save this, and then it will, you may have multiple workspaces. So I have my workspace, I have a workspace called template apps, and you can choose which workspace you want to have it in. The default out of the box you will get is my workspace, and then you can have multiple workspace in Power BI service and add it to it. So once you click on my workspace, it will publish there, and then this report will be shown in Power BI service. So let me quickly jump to the Power BI service. Okay, so I have my workspace right here, and within my workspace, I have this report that we just saw. And then what I did was each of this visual is in the report. I can basically pin the visual to a dashboard, and I created a dashboard by pinning all the visuals that I want and adding it to my dashboard. So I created a dashboard right here. Okay, this is my dashboard in here. Okay, so that's basically getting the data from Dynamics 365 into Power BI desktop and then publishing to the Power BI service, creating the report in desktop, publishing to Power BI service, and creating your dashboard that you want. There are other things that want to work on. You may want to work on with your data set is what is called as the, there are quick insights. You can have security, the role based security that you want to set up. So I'll talk about a little bit on the security. So you will create roles in the Power BI desktop, and then on the service, then you would assign those roles to the users that you want to have connections with, or who can access this data. So you can also have this content which we have. The I don't have any data sets and data flows right now created. Okay, so a lot of things you can do. Most of the time, I would use the Power BI desktop to do all my data visualization work, preparation of the data, also using Power Query to create new measures or new calculations, adding new columns, sourcing data from multiple places. So for all that, you would use Power BI desktop. And then once you have the report ready, so after you've done all the transformation and measures and calculations, you can then publish it. Okay, and that's when you will go into Power BI service. So now our question is, how do I show this? So you have this dashboard in Power BI service, and in my demo, I'll show you how to show that dashboard in Dynamics 365. Okay, so let's go back to my presentation. Okay, we're still here. All right, so connecting to Dynamics 365 or Dataverse, uh, I showed you there's a Dataverse connector, and there's also the common data service or legacy connector. So there is some, you have the TTS endpoint, there's a size limit. So if your data size is less than 80 MB, you can use the Dataverse connector. This is using the data import. Or if it's greater than 80 MB, it's still you have to use a legacy connector. There is a direct query option. There is no direct query here, and it doesn't support paging. So that's the information on those two connectors that we saw. Now the connectivity, right? The storage mode option. So how do I connect? So I was using import. So I'm basically taking the data from Dynamics 365 and bringing it into my desktop. And when you publish it to Power BI service, it stores all the data in Power BI, cloud in the Power BI service. So it's not live data, but there is a schedule by which you can connect to it. Or you can use direct query, which is basically having a direct linkage between your Dynamics 365, Dataverse, and Power BI. So which option should you choose? So that's a question that I would like to help you understand. So the data in import, obviously the data stored in Power BI. In direct query, there's no data storage in Power BI service. In the import mode, you cannot, the Dynamics 365 user security roles are not applicable. In direct query, it is applicable, but there is, you can also use, other settings like, for import mode, you would have to create the roles within Power BI, but similar roles you can also apply to direct query also. If you have created the roles in Power BI desktop and assigned it to users in Power BI service, that also can work on direct query. But the user security roles will not work on import when you import the data into Power BI. Because the data is in Power BI, the performance of the analytical visuals are faster. This is direct query is based on connectivity, so it could be slower if your connectivity is slower. So that's another difference you need to be aware of. There's a data set limit. I mentioned earlier that once you do the import, the data set limit is 1 GB. If you have a premium account, it probably goes up. And based on the license, if you have a free license, or you can have a Power BI Pro license, or you can have a premium license. And if it's a premium license, the data set limit goes up, I believe, around 100 gigs or like that. So in direct query, obviously, it's not applicable, right? And the refresh is required. So you would schedule the refresh. The free license allows you to have like 8 refreshes per day. So 8 times in a day you can set the refresh, at the uh, pro license, and obviously those refreshes are like per hour. You can do 1 refresh per hour. Direct query is live data, so the refresh is not applicable. So I hope this gives you some information of those two differences. So this is basically telling you to select the columns that you want and be very selective. So uh, don't bring all the data into the system. There are certain, if Dynamics 365, we have the choice option set. So there are certain columns where you want to be careful what column you bring in. So there is for example, in account, you have the industry code, and there could be industry code which has just the code, while the industry code name will be consumer services. So you want to make sure you bring the code name, because you may not know what industry code, number 8 may not make any sense to the users who are looking at the data, right? Similarly, the lookup ID of a primary contact may be this, but you want to look at the lookup ID name to get this name in here for the primary contact. So be careful. There are multiple things, that types of columns that you want to be aware of, and get the right data into the system. So that's one note, for especially for Dynamics 365, when you look at Dataverse, what type of columns you're going to bring in. All right, so we already did the connections demo. Okay, so now I'll go to the app. So what Microsoft has done is provided some free template apps for Dynamics 365 that you can basically use and see the capabilities of Power BI, and why it is a better visualization tool than using out of the box Dynamics 365 dashboards, right? So the some of the apps I mentioned here, Microsoft has provided for are the sales analytics, process analytics, omni-channel insights for Dynamics 365, and customer service analytics. So what's new on this, on the template apps, is now, before we could not make any changes. It was only available on the Power BI service. You go to Power BI service and connect to this template apps and bring it into the service, and you could not make any changes. But now Microsoft has provided the or PBIX file or the entire template apps which you can download on your computer and then upload into Power BI desktop. So that way you don't need to, you can make any changes as you want. You can get the data from your environment for the template apps, and you can build your own based on this sales analytics or any of these template apps that you have. So let me show you. Okay. So I have this template apps workspace, and then I brought in the template apps right from here, so I can look at the sales analytics dashboard. So you see, it is far, uh, very much well created. Let me show you the report itself. It's a dashboard. So let's go to the sales analytics report. Okay, so it's loading my report. Okay, so you see, it has a sales performance, sales leaderboard. All this sample apps are provided, and you can connect this to, using, and you can also bring this into your desktop. So I have a link in my presentation which will tell you where to get this into your desktop. So if you go to my desktop, I have I have this I have already loaded up. So this is my sales analytics tablet app. So you will just download the file and upload that into your desktop and make a connection to your Dynamics 365 to get the data if you want to connect it to with your Dynamics 365 data. So while it's loading up, let me show you, what other functionalities are there. So I can filter this. I can select certain visuals from here and create my own dashboard. So that's what I did on this side. Is on my sales analytics dashboard, I just use some of the visuals from the tablet app, the ones that I liked, and I pin them to a dashboard, and then I can then show this dashboard into Dynamics 365. Any questions on this? Okay, so this is the template app in my Power BI desktop. And you can see I can look at how it was built, what are the connections it is using. All that information is right here. So this is just amazing. It's actually tells you what are the fact tables and dimension tables it is using, and how it is all configured, and you can learn a lot from this. I would use this to get an understanding of how to build a Power BI dashboard, Power BI report and dashboard, because this probably has everything that you want for sales, for customer service, process, omni-channel, all of that, all those, the sample template apps are already provided for you, and you can actually change this, make your modifications, add your custom columns to it, and then create your own visuals on top of it. So that's, I think, a beautiful way to get jump started on Power BI uh, development of with using Dynamics 365. Go back to Okay, so let's go back to my presentation. Yep, I showed you sales analytics, customer service analytics. These are the template out of the box apps that Microsoft has already provided. And this is the link, so you can go to this link and be able to download those template apps, Power BI files, and you can put it in your desktop. Okay, so now we'll talk about embedding the. So you have got multiple ways that you can create the reports and dashboard. You can do it from the desktop. You can also use template apps and build your dashboard. So once you build your dashboard, now you want to and embed them in Dynamics 365. So that's the first thing I will show you. So a couple of things you want to have ready. One is you want to have this Power BI visualization embedding switch to on, and then TDS endpoint. By default, it is on, but just want to check on this. So if you go to your environment, select your environment settings and feature, and then within that you will see this option of embedding. So you go to how to enable this and make sure this is also enabled. Okay, so that will then allow you to work on embedding this Power BI dashboard into Dynamics 365. So there are two types of options, right? So there are two ways you can have dashboards in the system. You can create a personal dashboard and a system dashboard. Personal dashboard, a user can create in Dynamics 365. The system dashboard probably created by admins or consultants who are helping on this, and they will create a solution and add it as a system dashboard. So I can show you a demo of both. I already done those, so I'll show you. But the difference is, if you personal dashboard you are using, the sharing in Power BI, you have to provide sharing in both cases. You'll have to make sure that the data set, if you're importing the data set is shared with other users who are going to see the Power BI report. So I would recommend to create a team and share it with the team, or there are multiple ways you can do it. But personal dashboard sharing is not optimal for large number of users, so I would recommend to use system dashboard. And every user will have default access to the system dashboard. To get access to the data, if you are using the import feature, then you need to do the sharing in Power BI. Okay, so let's see. Okay, before we go there, I want to show the demo in here. So make.powerapps.com. Okay, say admin.powerplatform, right? So you go here, go to settings, products, features, and here is the embedded content Power BI visualization embedding that you have to enable, and then TDS endpoint is right here. So those two things you will have to make sure that the Power BI visualization and TDS endpoint are enabled. And then when you go to your dashboard, you will get an option for creating a Power BI dashboard. So I can go here, and now I can create a new Power BI dashboard from here. And one tip is, make sure that you are logged into Power BI. So, you don't have to worry about the connection and all that. So it's give me options. I could have multiple workspace. I can pick up data from any workspace I want to. So let's say I use my workspace. I already have the demo dashboard, which this is enable this for unified client, and click save. Okay, so now it's bringing this dashboard from Power BI, and I am able to see the same dashboard in my customer service hub, right? So I can see this dashboard, and it's there now. So I have my dashboard. I also brought in the process analytics earlier, so you can see that I have personal dashboards already in the system, which we got, and these are all Power BI dashboard. Now, the good thing is I can open in Power BI, so I can click in this button, and it will take me to Power BI, and I can work on this right from Dynamics 365. I'm going to jump into Power BI. Now, one thing is you want to note is if a user is creating the dashboard and sharing it with another user, both the users will require Power BI licenses, right? So you will either have Power BI Pro or premium license, premium environment license, or one of the two will be required for sharing. Okay, so that was creating a personal dashboard and enabling that. Now the other option is, obviously, if you want to do a system dashboard, and I have the sales analytics system dashboard already created. So it's a system dashboard. I added it to my solution. So you would go into your environment. So let's see which one has a solution in it. Okay, so let me go here, select my environment in here, make.powerapps.com, and then you want to go and create the solution from there. So let me see, I already have all that created. Right, so this is my navigation page. Solutions are right here. And I have created one demo solution. Yeah, Power BI dashboard. So what I did was I created a solution called Power BI dashboard and added from here you can go in. So you can have add to an existing solution or you can add to a new solution, right? So I just created a new solution. And then if I click on new and then click on dashboard, I can see the Power BI embedded dashboard option comes up. And then I can click on that and select my dashboard that I want. So I can say PBI demo. Now here I can do report or a dashboard. So I can bring in a report or I can bring in the dashboard itself. So if I bring in the, go to the template apps and bring in, so I already have sales analytics. I'll bring in process analytics in here. And I can also use environment variables, right? So if you want to enable that, that's also is possible. So now it will bring in the process analytics uh, dashboard. I call it PBI demo in this solution. The next thing you want to do is open your app that you want to show this dashboard in and add that. You know, you want to make sure that you publish, obviously, but you also want to make sure that uh, dashboard, that Power BI dashboard which you have added as a system dashboard, is available or enabled in the environment that or in the app that you want to show it in. So just by publishing it will not show up right here. So you'll need to add it. I'll need to add it to the customer service hub app in my environment. So that is a step that you will have to follow for enabling that solution, that app dashboard in the system dashboard in your app. Okay, so let's see customer service. I have some of these apps already enabled right here. It's still publishing. Okay. All right. So that's how you would basically be able to show your solution, your Power BI dashboard as a system dashboard in the uh, in your application, right? The app that you have developed. So you can just bring it here. So I have two personal dashboard and I have the sales analytics here as a system dashboard in here. Any questions on this or we are good in embedding? Okay, I'll go ahead. So personal dashboard, and we talked about the system dashboard. So create a new solution, add new dashboard, select Power BI embedded dashboard, the type you want a report or a dashboard, workspace, select the workspace, and then add the Power BI dashboard to the app, publish the app also. All right, so that is what we did a little bit of demo about. Okay, so this is already done. Okay, so this is embedding in Power Apps portal. So this is more, it requires a little bit of uh, Azure side work as well as on the Power BI side also. So I'll walk you through the slides because we may not have enough time to go over step by step here. So there are 3 steps to embed a Power BI report or a dashboard in portal. So why you want to do it? One of the use case I can think of is you have users, you have employee portal, and you want to share some visuals about employees. For example, the sales by employee, or how much is what is the target and what is the goal and what they have achieved. So all those visuals you can create in Power BI and publish it to a portal, and then when the employee logs in with their credentials, you can make sure that they only see the data which is relevant to them. So that all that is possible using Power BI desktop roles, and you can configure the role to show the data related to the user only, and then publish it in Power BI service and assign the users that those roles. So that is you will need to do to be able to restrict the data in portal is shown, or it may be just be a in general visualization to all the sales team saying, okay, when you log into the portal, you can see how much sales you have done, or uh, what you have achieved, or what the your department has achieved. So if you want the entire department wise visual, you can have. So the first step would be to configure the portal environment and enable the Power BI visualization and embedding. The second would be to create a security group and Azure AD. So you would create a security group, and I have slides in here which details all these steps. And the third step, after you have the portal and security group created, you can then go into make.powerapps.com and add the Power BI report dashboard to portal. So I just walk us through the slides here. The first slide is on the creating the security group in Azure AD. So you would go to Azure portal, and in the Azure Active Directory, select security groups, new group, and follow the settings here. So group type security, uh, Power BI embedded service, and you can have this group. The idea is to have a security group for the Power BI embedding into the portal. So now you will go to the portal application ID. So you would add the portal application ID to the security group. That way, the when portal is connecting to get data, it is the it gets security is allowing it. This group will allow that functionality. So you'll add to that security group as a member the Power Apps portal in there. I've done all this configuration, but it takes a little bit of time, so I'm going to just go through the slides for now. Uh, and then finally, you want to go into your Power BI settings, admin uh, .powerplatform.com, go to the Power BI admin, and then you will go into tenant settings, and so apps.powerbi settings admin portal, and then you will go to developer settings, and you will allow this, and you will select the security group that you created. So if you have this, because it's a member, you will be able to see that in here and then apply this. So you'll be allowing service principal to use Power BI APIs. So those connections are working fine then. And then final step is to embed the Power BI in portal. So you can actually, this has become so easy that you can really do it right from make.powerapps.com also. So I can show you a little bit of this, of how I did this for this demo prep. So I have here, yep. So I have in here, this is my make.powerapps.com, and then you will see, I just added it to the home page. And in the home page, if I go down here, I just created a new section. If you click on, components, and one of the components in here is Power BI. So I added a section. You can add one column section, and then you can add the Power BI component. Once you add the Power BI component on the display side here, you will see more details about the component. So you can select the workspace, you can select the dashboard that you want, or a report that you want to show up in here. And then the dashboard I selected is sales analytics. I could select sales analytics or process analytics, which are in the template apps workspace. So interestingly, it doesn't show my workspace, it just shows the workspace which is I created. So you want to make sure that you have a workspace created, to not use my workspace, so it may not show up on the embedding side here. Okay. And then once it is done, you can test it out by browsing to this website. So you can click on browse website right here. Okay, it's loading. I can just go home. And here is my dashboard right here within the portal itself. So again, this is another good new feature. It's probably there since last 1.5 year, but there are some ease of it. Like there's a lot of confusion about how to do this. Now it has become very simple, and it is becoming, as I see it, it's becoming more and more easy to embed Power BI into Dynamics 365 and Power Apps portals in there. So I think the ease of embedding helps to try it out and adopt this new functionalities as you are using Power BI and Dynamics 365 on the Power Platform. Okay, so I did a little bit of that demo. Security. So quickly, I want to touch on security. We talked about the import and direct query. Uh, Make sure when you do the import, when you select the import mode, you share the data set with other users who you're going to use that or show the report or dashboard sharing with. Because if you don't share the data set, they will not see the data, because the data is not in Dynamics 365, it is imported into Power BI service. uh, if you want to restrict who can visualize the data, create roles in Power BI desktop to match a high level Dynamics 365 security need. So it doesn't go very granular. It can, you might want to write some queries in there, but it's better to have it at a higher level, because you can now share it with the team, and then anybody in the team will be able to access the data. So you can probably do that. Assign roles to users for each data set in Power BI service, and users need a Power BI license. In either case, Power BI license is required, right? So direct query will enforce the Dataverse Dynamics 365 security model, but user will still need the Power BI license in there. Okay, so the latest feature that this is, a lot of times our clients are using Dynamics 365 data with a data warehouse, and they are exporting the data, and the option that was being used uh, was the data export service, DES, if you remember. So that's going away, right? So that you're not no longer going to have data export service. I believe it is November of this year, or 2022. So what is our option now? Our option now is to use Azure Synapse. So Dynamics 365 data gets exported into Azure Synapse Analytics, and then from there, from Azure Synapse Analytics, you can connect to Power BI to get the data from Azure Synapse and be able to create your visualization. So now there is a new service, and and it's great. I think it's better than what it was. Obviously there is always the this is new, this might may not have all the functionalities that DES has, but you can get all the data in Azure Synapse Analytics. You can do a lot more using Azure Synapse, and you can also connect with big data, and you can also connect with your other, because in a data warehouse, it's not the only Dynamics 365 is not the only data that is being pushed into data warehouse, right? You also have legacy system data, so you can then connect with multiple uh, data sources and create your visuals in the Power BI. So use the Azure Synapse link for Dataverse. So if you go to uh, export from data, you will, on Dynamics 365 side, you will use the Azure Synapse link. So before you use that, you will have to make sure you have a Azure Synapse environment and all the prerequisites for having that enabled, and then you'll be able to link from Dataverse to Azure Synapse. You'll do all the analytics, all the AI work, or any data source mashup will be done in Azure Synapse, and then visualizations by connected to Azure Synapse Analytics. So in your desktop, you would go to Azure Synapse Analytics, SQL, DW, and do the connection from there. And then you'll follow the same step for sharing the visuals on Dynamics 365. Okay, so I found this also very useful to understand what is the correct connection choice. So when do I use the Power BI desktop? When do I use Azure Synapse? So default data query, result side. If you're going to be more than 80 MB, which is, I guess, most of the enterprise queries data will be more than 80 MB. So you will use Azure Synapse. If your query complex, it's highly complex, you would need Spark or SQL, etc. You would need to use Azure Synapse. So Power Query is pretty significantly strong, and you can do a lot of things with it. But if you want to go to the AI side and do some AI modeling and all that, so you need to have Spark. Data mashup, you, the Power BI will be using Dataverse plus Power Query. Uh, you can use the Azure Synapse data warehouse to match up data from multiple data sources. Latency wise, also, Azure Synapse can only be near real time. Direct query provides you almost real time, right? So because it's a direct query, every time you are doing a direct query, you can get the data instantly from Dataverse. But Azure Synapse, because the data is getting exported from Dynamics 365 into Azure Synapse, and then you're doing the mashup of the data and then visualization, that takes it may take some time. I don't know how much time based on the size of the data it might be. Direct query will give you the inherits the existing security model in Dynamics 365, but the Synapse you'll have to create the row level security in Power BI. So hopefully this is helpful, and this is the link for this. All this information is provided in this link here. Okay, these are some of my references for this. So if you look at everything that I've shown here is in this reference documents. Everything is on blogs or docs.microsoft.com, and I'm available to answer any questions if you have, you know, based on whatever I've shown today. Okay, so that's my last slide. Thank you very much. Again, I have my LinkedIn profile here, Twitter handle, as well as my blog, 365withoutcode.blogspot.com. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'm available. In our Back to
Excellent.
you.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's a bit difficult to cram in this much of a material into this, into 1 hour, but it's a really,
Yeah.
really good overview. And like you mentioned, this embedding possibilities are constantly growing. So, and changing. There was one question in the chat about embedding in Teams. Yeah, I just posted a link on how to do it.
Okay.
That's
Yeah, I think that's the next in my next demo. I'll add that also as part of my demo.
yeah, yeah, exactly. That
Thank
wasn't
you.
basically the topic today. So yeah, again, Mihir, thank you very much for
Yeah.
the presentation. And if you could send me a PDF version of your presentation, and I can share it with the wider community to get the references and the links, etc.
Yep, will do. Thank you very much, everyone. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity to present today. And
Yeah,
have a good day,
likewise.
everyone.
Thank you
Thank you,
very
Einar.
much. Have a nice day,
Yep.
everyone. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.